Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Guys say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, see that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase. Look at the video description to learn more, or go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the flamethrower button to learn more. Yes, it does, of course, come with a fun Picatinny rail adapter, so you can mount it to any standard AR-15, like all awesome accessories can be. Lastly, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have the Dodge Charger EV quote-unquote muscle car, can't even do burnouts. As if people you needed yet another reason not to purchase the product, it can't do burnouts, which I want to say approximately 99.999926% of all Dodge Chargers ever manufactured and sold have done at least one burnout. I'm pretty sure it's actually a requirement from the factory they do a burnout before customer delivery. I'm only slightly exaggerating, but just slightly. Now this comes to us thanks to Rowan, who is a writer at The Drive, which they say, quote, "Whoops, 2024 Dodge Charger Daytona EV can't do a burnout. Dodge's electrical muscle car isn't available with a line lock feature, so it can't rip its rear tires at a standstill, and we don't know whether one is coming." In addition to all the myriad of other ineptitudes of this forced EV quote-unquote muscle car, it can't do the one thing that, Dodge really was known for, making loud, fun muscle cars that would do burnouts pretty much majority of their driving. And yet, it can't do this one thing. But it will have a nice sound system that they brag about, so you can hear the Hemi that you wish you could have purchased new. I can't but think anyone who actually wants a Charger or a Challenger, they're going to buy the previous gas models, which, of course, can do burnouts, have great good old V8 Hemi engines, and even have the option of a stick shift, also known as a third pedal, also known as a manual transmission, also known as the best, and I would argue the only way to drive any true enthusiast vehicle. Now, diving into the article here a little bit more, they say that, quote, "Many of the pictures Dodge published to promote the now departed Challenger showed the big coupe surrounded by smoke of its own rear tires. Its replacement, the Charger, is available with electric and piston power. Straight six, twin turbo, not a Hemi." And they say, but the EV mysteriously lacks the ability to rip a big old burnout. The burnout that owed to the V8 mayhem and the rear-wheel drive mischief is inexorably linked to the muscle car. So when Dodge announced the, quote, "the world's first and only electric muscle car," enthusiasts assumed it would be capable of roasting the rear tires, which it should be able to. It has massive torque at 0 RPM. It's electric. The fact that they didn't program this, or have I can't believe they forgot about this. I don't know who's leading the Dodge brand these days. Perhaps someone who is inebriated a majority of the time. I can't but think. But yeah, how do they miss this? They say that all-wheel drive isn't a deal breaker. Dodge assigned a motor to each axle, and dialing the ability to do a burnout would theoretically require locking the front wheels with a line lock and let the rear wheels spin freely in a glorious cloud of smoke. There's no line lock, however, and the EV can't do a burnout. In fact, Dodge Charger Daytona won't do a burnout no matter if we tried. The electric Charger stubbornly rejected our efforts to announce its arrival to the world via smoke signals. It's probably capable of doing it with a line lock feature, but inexplicably, that's the only toy Dodge failed to program in it. Which, if you want to see the real good one, let's scroll down and see the beauty of the previous generation Challenger. And, there's so much smoke behind that car, and that hood scoop is so large because that big old Hemi needs that good old air. It is a thing of beauty. And it is also, kind of sad that dealerships want $100,000 plus for the last send-off, which, debatably, some people will make some money on that. I see a lot of them for sale. Don't see a lot of them transacting as people try to treat these as investments. Not financial advice, but yeah, most cars have never actually beat the S&P 500. Perhaps the only exceptions being the Pontiac Judge GTO and the Ferrari GTO. And then, the pandemic had weird car pricing. But it's, in my opinion, kind of ridiculous. So many folks are, trying to turn these into investment vehicles, unmoderately intended. Now, they say, quote, "And there's plans in Dodge pipeline to sooner or later add a line lock to Charger. If so, it would require hardware changes, and engineers would be able to beam a line lock via a over-the-air software. Both questions remained unanswered. Inside EVs reached out to Dodge for more details and didn't learn much. Is the Charger currently available with line lock? Nope. Will it ever be? Who knows? Dodge did not comment on the second part. Yeah. And going to the comment section. Yeah. Yeah, it's mostly an agreement. So someone by the name of Source says, we at Dodge blame Carlos for this. Whether it's actually his fault or not, it's irrelevant at this point. That was the former CEO who previously, a couple weeks ago, did announce his departure from the company. Scrolling down more, you have Diesel saying, so it can only do four-wheel drive burnouts at high speed. These are all going to be launched right into curbs, aren't they? Well, they might take that accolade from Mustangs. That did get 3 likes. Scrolling down more and more, Alaska Man. Interestingly enough, we've heard of Florida Man, but Alaska Man is making more and more waves in this, at least this publication says, quote, yuck, this is automotive version of Bud Light, and how to destroy name and brand, being 2 likes, which, yeah, I mean, the previous CEO was the specific brand CEO of Dodge. He was very exciting, bombastic. He loved making these loud, obnoxiously fun V8 powered muscle cars. And he was very proud of the fact that they made the world's fastest production car, the last Challenger, getting 0-60 in 1.66 seconds. Yes, that's under ideal conditions. You're not going to do that going to the Walmart for groceries with public streets, of course. But, I mean, still a feat of Marvel engineering that they can beat an EV for 0-60. Or even the Bugatti, or like the craziest cars they did at Dodge. Like, the last send-off is a beautiful feat of engineering. They really did it great, did it right. It's sad that they closed the chapter and decided to go with EVs and a straight 6 twin turbo. But we'll see what the future has. Again, there's a new CEO going to be joining the company. And who knows? With Trump in office, he says day one he's going to get rid of the EV mandates, aka the de facto bans we have in the United States. Because, again, they're not saying you can't make it, but they're saying, well, if your business does not hit these certain fuel economy averages for your fleet, or your tailpipe emissions for your fleet are certain XYZ, aka they're not extraordinarily clean, well, we're going to give you a fine. Ford almost had to pay a $1 billion fine because of those things. So it's one of those things where, yes, there is a de facto ban on gas engines. And again, there's also California trying to ban gas engines. The EPA just said that they could. We'll see what goes from a federal perspective in that regard. And again, California is the 10th largest market for automobiles on the planet. So again, there's a lot of demand, but there's also a lot of government regulation that's kneecapping gas engines. And it will be interesting to see what the future holds. I mean, obviously, I'm optimistic that good things happen, but I'm just to say I'm a little skeptical. But let me know your thoughts. I mean, it's not half the reason to buy a Charger to do a burnout, but it's like, I don't know, 20% of the reason people buy a Dodge. Like, it's a fun thing to do, and you can't do like one of the top things you do. Next, they're going to say you can't drive in a straight line more than a foot, which, maybe they'll make it fit out. I mean, what is a muscle car good for? Loud, fun, burnouts, and going in a straight line fast as a bat out of hell. So hopefully they fix it. Well, do an engine swap with the Hemi, but let me know your thoughts are, because as always, be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so if you can click that button, I'd greatly appreciate it. Also, if you give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment, it's a great way to give me a little bit of additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.